back to another episode of the Crazy Stupid Marketing Show, the show where we talk about all the crazy stupid stuff that people do in marketing and how not to do crazy stupid stuff, but instead how you can do awesome, meaningful, energetic stuff with your marketing, with your time and your budgets. And I mean, for those of you who know me, authenticity is kind of my jam. And it's really exciting for me when I meet someone else who I feel is equally invested in authenticity as I am. And then we put them together on the Crazy Stupid Marketing Show, and you don't even know what you're going to get, but it's going to be authentic. That's for sure. And so today we're going to talk about uniqueness in marketing. You being YOU, not like a regular old uniqueness, but the U in uniqueness, and how this plays into marketing. Because I've done a lot of work with people who are solopreneurs and doing their own marketing. I've done a lot of work with big business and corporate marketing, and there's a lot of opportunity, shall we say, for more you to be coming into this conversation. And if there was ever anyone to bring that into a conversation, it is the fabulous Kathryn Lang. So you are all in good hands. I'm really excited for this conversation today. And before we get kicked off and learn a little bit more about Kathryn, I want to remind everyone that this is not just a conversation for two people, but it is in fact a conversation for as many people who want to get into the conversation as you want to today. So we've already got Coach Carrie and Leanna. Coach Carrie loves your hair. Kathryn, who doesn't? Leanna, Kat is joining us too. This is a conversation for all of us, and all of you who don't even want to get into the chat, you're in on this too. You might think you're not, but you totally are. We can feel your vibes, and we want you in the conversation. So ask your questions, share your experiences. We want to hear all of it because it makes the conversation more robust for all of us. And the more perspectives that we get, the more opportunities we have to find the thing that fits us. So please share your perspectives, even if you think you don't know anything. Well, I mean, I know those people in the chat, they know something about authenticity. But even if you feel like you don't know anything about authenticity, we all have an experience of what that is. So we would love to hear you share that. And Gary is here again too. Gary always has great shares for the show. So get into the conversation, folks.
And Spencer's my son's name, so that makes you extra special.
Oh, there's so much specialness that's going to be revealed here today, folks. Again, you don't even know. We don't even know. It's going to be fantastic. Okay, before I get carried away, Kathryn, would you like to tell us a little bit about you and your path to your uniqueness?
Well, I am a natural born encourager. I'm the kind of person that when I was born, I slapped the doctor on the butt and told him he did a good job. So it just oozes out of me. My son says I am unnecessarily extroverted. And
I love that.
I told him the other day that my husband and I take a walk around the neighborhood. We have a lake, and we walk around the lake, and that people have changed their walking times so that they can engage with us. And he assured me that they had changed their walking times so they could avoid me.
I mean, some are probably some of each.
So look, even introverts, I adopt every introvert I find and force them to engage. That's just one of my goals in life. Instead of the rapture where I'm holding somebody up when we get called into heaven, I'm going to grab an introvert every time I go out and make them engage with me. I just think it's important that we be engaged. We're designed to be in a relationship. But I am a natural born encourager. I'm an engager, and I believe in hope. Above all other things, I believe in hope. And I got into my uniqueness. I was born into it. I was encouraged to be unique. My uncle was the kind of person that when I got off the school bus and everybody was looking to the right, I would go the opposite direction because I knew my uncle was doing something. Came home one day and he was on the roof in a Superman outfit. Yeah, that's what I grew up with. So it's no surprise that I was encouraged to be unique. But the world doesn't like that. Mm-hmm. And that's why I want to infuse everyone else with the ability to be their uniqueness.
Oh, I think this is so, let's start here, because first of all, when it comes to the world gets reflected in marketing. And so it's like a microcosm of what's happening in the larger world. And it's very common narrative to hear people say it's not safe to be yourself, it's not welcome, and and I'm not saying these people don't have experiences that match that. And so, like, what are some of the invitations that you've made for people, Kathryn, that allow them to take maybe that like first little step outside of a reality of like, this is not safe, it's not safe to be myself, into like, well, maybe it could be.
Well, I've been very blessed to encounter people that were not normal. And because I encounter so many people that are not normal, we get together, and the people that come into that circle find their not normalness okay. You know, I had somebody tell me that I help you feel better about being a little strange.
Mm.
That I encourage weirdness, because what all weirdness is outside what the world has said is norm, what the world has said is normal. And when my invitation is to see somebody that is just a little caught, just a little tangled, just a little hesitant, and encourage just a little bit, because when we take just a little bit into our uniqueness, we get comfortable there. And when we get comfortable in our little bit of uniqueness, then we can be more of our uniqueness authentically. See, that's the key. I don't want somebody to pretend to be unnecessarily extroverted if they're not, because that's just as awkward as being an introvert. Being an extrovert trying to be an introvert is just as awkward as an introvert trying to be an extrovert, and it shows up, and nobody wants to be around that. But if you're authentic in who you are, that's very, very different.
Oh, this is so true. And I love, even in the like identification of introvert extrovert, which I think all of us have accepted at this point is a scale, right? There's not, I mean, sure, there may be a handful of people who are on the extremes of either of these, but most of us are somewhere in the middle. One is self-identified on the show. But like a lot of people will have, even I would identify as an extrovert. And there are times when I go into a situation and someone else's interpretation of my behavior might be very introverted because of how maybe I have other stuff going on. Maybe I have something on my mind. Maybe I remember going to this one event in particular, which was like I can't remember what it was called, but it was more of like a meditation circle thing. And it was a virtual one, but they had encouraged everyone to do an introduction at the beginning. And normally I'd be all over that, but it was like the day after my aunt had passed away. And I was just like, I just didn't want to do that. And I think one of the things that's really interesting for me in that like permission component is that you can be all of those things. Like it can be authentic to say like, I don't feel like engaging in this way in this moment based on what's going on for me. And that authenticity is in you allowing the decision to be made by you, instead of saying like, well, this is what the world defines extroverts to be, and I have to be an extrovert like this all of the time. No.
And I only laugh because I am that extreme. You know, the Myers-Briggs, I broke it because I test so high on the Myers-Briggs. And I ran around with a friend in college that tested exactly as high as I did. So we could never walk together on campus because we knew everybody between the two of us, and we couldn't get anywhere because we'd stop and talk to everybody. And my husband, my middle son, is on the far end of introvert. My older son is an amnivert. He actually swings back and forth. And really all extrovert and introvert is where you get your energy. Extroverts get their energy from being around people. Introverts get their energy from being isolated and in small groups, one-on-one kind of situations. So that's really all it is. It's just where you get your energy. And the key is to know you. That's the key. Because whatever it is you're trying to do, if you don't know who you are, you're going to let somebody else dictate that to you. And that's where you get in trouble, because anytime you let somebody else drive your car, you end up in a ditch.
I mean, hopefully that's not true about actually lending people your car. But I think this is a piece that I'd love to like dive into from a marketing point of view, because I love what you just said, which is where you get your energy. And I think from a marketing perspective, there's so much. I won't call it all bad information, because it's not all bad information, but there's so much information out there that people have gotten so disconnected from what drives their energy, and they get convinced. And actually, this is great that we're talking about introvert extrovert, because I feel like a lot of introverts might interpret marketing as an extroverted activity, and therefore I have to show up like an extrovert in order to do marketing, and then all of that like breaks. And whether you're doing that as a solopreneur, or you're doing that because you're a content creator in a bigger marketing team that's supposed to write blog posts with your name on it, and that stresses you out, that relationship to your own personal energy has just been completely ignored.
Yep. And really, I would like to say that marketing has never changed. That we have allowed people to tell us that marketing has changed. Marketing has always been fundamentally about making connections and then being relentlessly helpful with those connections. I added the relentlessly helpful part, and I added another piece. So I say have fun, make friends, and be relentlessly helpful. Because if you're doing those things and you are involved in something that you're passionate about, something that you are really get behind, the rest of it will work itself out. But if any of that is out of whack, if you're not enjoying it, they're going to know you're not enjoying it. And if you're faking it, you're not enjoying it. I don't care what it is you're doing. If you're faking it, you're not enjoying it.
Use your imagination, folks. But this is, I mean, I'm sure I've said this on the show, and if I haven't, then it's crazy, because I say it all the time, is that I don't believe in fake it till you make it. What are you making, right? Like, yeah. If I'm faking it, then I'm building something on a whole bunch of not my stuff. And then am I going to get my stuff at the end? Probably not. I might have something, but it won't be my stuff. It'll be a weird concoction of assumptions and expectations, and none of which are mine.
Yep. But if you don't know who you are, and you can't be your unique self if you don't know who you are. And if you've bought into what you're supposed to be, or like my friend Laura says, if you've let people shit all over you, then you've buried that heart seed. You've buried that uniqueness, that thing that makes you different from everybody else in all the world. One of my favorite books is The Little Prince, and he has a rose. And when he comes to Earth, the rose that was unique on his planet is suddenly common here on Earth. But his rose is still unique in all the world. And that's what we have to recognize, is that it doesn't matter if we're walking a parallel path to somebody else. We are unique in all the world. There is nobody else that can tell your story, that can walk your path, that can do what you do the way that you do it, as long as you are doing what you are designed to do and not what your mother told you you had to be when you grow up.
But Kathryn, the entire world, and most of the marketers are telling me that what they know is better. They know better. They know more. I should do what they're going to do. And I find this, we can make it specifically marketing. I'm sure it's not specifically marketing, but when we think about any kind of expert driven knowledge base, very commonly people will say, well, I don't know anything about that, so I'm going to depend on that person who knows about it. And then this is where I get angry, because those people aren't doing their due diligence in helping you understand that they have a way. And if you'd like to try a way because it feels compatible with you, then awesome. But it is not the only way. There is no one only way. There's not even only one way to get to the moon at this point, right? Which, like, if we look back 100 years ago, people would have been like, there's no way to get to the moon, right? Yeah, exactly. And then they were like, there's one way to get to the moon. This is the way. And now people are like, oh, we're going to go to the dark side of the moon. There's always new paths if we are looking for new paths. But I think we get caught up in that rhetoric of that, like, why would I try? Why would I try when someone else knows better than me? I just need to know what they know, and then I can do the things.
And that is getting caught up in that they have your answer. And there is nobody on this earth that has your answer. And I help people. I help people find their answer, but I can't give them the answer. Drives my husband insane because he'll say, what do you think? And I was like, well, doesn't really matter what I think. Because I'm not him. I can't. First of all, he's way, way, way different from me. I am all over the place, and he is ABC. And if I go AC, he freaks out because he wants to know what happened to B. It freaks him out. He can't deal with that. And I recognize he's different. And because I recognize he's different, I can help him find his way. And we can look at different patterns that have gotten different people, different places, and he can pick and choose what works for him best. How he reads the Bible is different from how I read the Bible. He can't do it the way I can. Now, because I'm flexible, I can do it the way he does. But that's just I don't like it, but it's my personality. I can, and we read it together, so we do it his way. But the key is to find your uniqueness. Learn everything you can from other people, but then apply it to who you are. And that's why knowing you is so important before you go ask other people for your help. I launched my podcast. It's been 10 years. I just relaunched it on Monday.
Woo!
Because I was having success. I was getting followers. I was getting listeners. I was being called by radio stations, and they were asking if they could use my program and syndicate my program on terrestrial stations. I was in 3 terrestrial stations, and I had an expert contact me and say, I can help you do this better.
I mean, there's always those people out there.
Yep, and I know. And I paid him for the privilege of him telling me how wrong I was. Even though I was having success. But because he said I was doing it the wrong way, I listened to him, and I ended up exhausted, frustrated. I had no idea what I was doing anymore. I lost my radio stations, and I just finally ended up walking away. And when I rediscovered who I was, and I stopped letting other people tell me how I had to do something, how I should do something, and I just was my authentic self, people like you showed up in my life and said, hey, do you want to do a show with me? And I'm like, yes, I do.
Something that's really interesting is that I see both sides of this coin, right? Someone has an expertise in like podcasting or getting people on radio stations. They're trying to sell services. They believe in the value that they add, right? And that's great. I celebrate that for those people. I remember an experience I had with someone who reached out to me about like pre-recorded video. And I don't do pre-recorded video. I do live video. That's what I do. And I've talked about it lots of times about why I do that and why I don't do pre-recorded video. And he went through this whole process of trying to convince me that I cannot be a successful business owner unless I do pre-recorded video. And what I said to him was, I'm really glad that you believe in this methodology as much as you do, because otherwise you would have no success selling it. I'm just not at all interested in it. So you don't waste your time trying to convince me. I don't think it's bad. It's like, it's fine. But there's again, that comes back to what you've referenced a couple times, Kathryn, is like you knowing yourself and not buying into that belief that like, oh, someone knows what I don't know, and that must be the secret to my success. Instead of flipping that back around and saying like, I know what I need to know, and I need to figure out how to tap into that in a meaningful way to take this to the next level. And if there are people, coaches, collaborators, friends, spouses, right, who can help you to do that, then that's awesome. And there will always be people trying to sell you stuff. It's the same as someone trying to sell you a pair of sneakers when you don't need a pair of sneakers. Well, though we're all very good at looking at that and being like, oh, I got this flyer for sneakers, but I don't need sneakers, so recycling bin, right? Like we do that because we're so clear that I don't need a pair of sneakers. But when it comes to those identity pieces, I think there's lots of opportunity for us to give ourselves more credit.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, but that comes back to knowing you and knowing who you are and what you're capable of and where you excel. I know I'm an encourager. I mean, I can't not encourage people. I mean, my husband will go, can you not just, my son, God love him. But he'll just go, just get in the car. Just don't. I mean, because I'm talking to the guy standing out here working on the windows and I can't not do it. It's something in me breaks a little if I'm not encouraging people, and knowing that that's part of who I am helps me make the choices that I make. But when I fall into you have to, anytime somebody tells you you have to, either A, they don't know you and they're following the script, or B, they don't believe in you, because your path is going to be unique to you. Learn from everybody and make it your own. I just can't emphasize that enough. You have to make it your own.
I think it's an interesting perspective because, again, I think all of us have heard someone tell us you have to. And like my response always to that now is just like, do I? I mean, I don't think so. If you want to be you have to be a good human. Even at that point, I would be like, I mean, there's lots of people out in the world not being good humans. So a human in general doesn't have to be a good human. Now I choose to be a good human. That's a different thing. That's a wholly empowered point of view for me. But even just like, I don't share it in advance usually on this show, but sometimes, but I have a rule on this show that you're not allowed to say you should do this. Because first of all, you don't know who's watching. You don't know all those people. You don't know that they should do it. Like if anyone uses that on this show, sometimes we use it as bad examples of what people are saying, and that is fine. But like, you don't know that, right? Like maybe that would be helpful. And this is what I love about this show is you create a lot of potential things that people could try on and see, does this fit you or does it not? I love what Kat is saying here is you have to equals quickest way to hear me say, don't tell me what to do.
Oh, I shared a post on Monday when I dropped my podcast about when I was 2. And my grandmother told me I couldn't take the pots and pans out of the cabinet, and she spanked me. So I did it again. And on about the 4th time, she called my uncle and said, you're going to have to take this child outside or I'm going to kill her. And that was my first, here's my hold my beer moment. Because if you tell me no, I have a tendency to want to find a way to prove you wrong. If you tell me I have to, but that was the old me. Before I let people shit on me so much that I didn't know who I was anymore. Right. But when you know who you are at your core, and other people can't talk you out of it.
Right.
But if you don't know who you are, you will let people tell you your direction, tell you your steps, tell you what you have to do, tell you what you should do, because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's, Kat is saying, I literally say it to commercials. I get mad at commercials all the time, but we can talk. We should do a whole episode on that, actually. But this is the point, right? This is the difference between someone telling you have to, and you be like, make me. Yeah. Right? It's I feel like my 4-year-old niece would do it that, right? You can't make me do it. and there's a defensiveness that's associated with that versus again, someone coming up and being like, you need to do this. And you're like, meh, that's your opinion. Like, I mean, I don't believe that. And it's just not relevant. To confirm what we are talking about for one of our viewers on YouTube, we're talking about uniqueness and how to tap into your uniqueness. There's a whole, if you're just tuning in, there's a whole bunch of backstory that you have missed on that already, and you can go back and watch the replay. But it's like, really, I think where the point of the conversation we're at is that this like self-awareness is a big component in using your uniqueness for anything, because we all have it.
Yeah,
it's in us. It doesn't disappear, even if it's covered up by a bunch of layers of other people's expectations and shoulds and all of those things. It doesn't completely vanish. But there's people who have done the work to like find it and own it, and then have the opportunity to create intentionally from that place. And there's people who are still in the discovery process. And honestly, this conversation is mostly for the people who are still in the discovery process, because if you don't care at all about being unique, then you can probably tune out.
Well, here's the thing. If you don't care about being unique, people aren't going to care about what you have to say.
I agree.
But because you sound like everybody else. Why should I listen to you? Wendy's stood out on Twitter, not because Wendy's was an exceptional fast food restaurant, but because they got so snarky. And then they moved it onto their billboards. Now, I don't know if it started on their billboards and came onto Twitter. I met them on Twitter, and I was like, this is awesome that they're doing this corporate across the board. They're doing this. And you can watch the other fast food restaurants try to do it, and it just doesn't ring authentic. I mean, Wendy's rings authentic. I don't know if they just hire snarky people, if that's like on the job description.
You must be snarky in order to work in our marketing department.
Yes, because they're so good at it. But that's it. They're when you know who you are and you lean all into who you are, people want to be a part of it, even if they're not your ideal client. They just enjoy the engagement. They enjoy the opportunity to be a part of the pure joy. You exude joy when you're being your unique self.
I mean, like, one of the things I'm picking up that you're putting down is this like ability to be a part of something. Like, it's one of the things from a marketing point of view when we're talking about like reach and scalability, that like really that's what we want. We want people to feel like they are a part of something. But when we're going out and we're creating content about like, hey, I'm going to be at this trade show at booth 487. Come and see me on Tuesday. Like,
by the bathrooms. I
mean, that's probably better. At least people are going to the bathroom authentically. Like, you're like, we are on purpose by the bathrooms because we know that's where you're going to be. Like, that's fun and snarky, right? Like, but we forget, we get so caught up in like the doing of stuff that we don't even think about what we as the creator are a part of anymore. Now I'm like, if I'm not going to be a part of me, then like, what am I going to be a part of? And what part of myself do I have to give up in order to be part of that thing that's not an authentic part of me? Because someone else said that I'm supposed to, that I should, that I'm going to use this example because it comes up for me all the time in marketing when people are like, I should post every day at 10 o'clock.
Wait, 10 o'clock. That always drove me crazy because I'd be like, it's 10 o'clock somewhere every day. I mean, all day. It's 10 o'clock somewhere.
And we have friends from India right now tuning in at like 1 o'clock their time, which like, thanks, folks, because I'll tell you, if it was 1 a.m. for me, I'm sound asleep that time. So thank you for joining us. But like, I don't control that. I don't control when this pops up in your YouTube feed, right? Or when you like to check LinkedIn, or whether you thought about someone today because you heard a song on the radio and it reminded you of them, right? Like this happens to me all the time when I'm like listening to a Peloton, wanting like a Peloton walk, and I'm like, oh, I love this song. This reminds me of my high school gang. Right? Like this is not, I didn't choose that playlist because that song was on it and I wanted to be reminded of those people. I was just like, these are things that happen, and we can choose to be with those things that are happening, or we can try to like over strategize to the point, and we think it's strategy. I think people are trying to convince us that that's strategy, right? Like post every day at 10 a.m. That's a strategy. This is not a strategy. And we can dive down into it in a different conversation. But like, that's not a thing. Like you said, you need to connect to people. Go be helpful. You have a unique way to be helpful. I have a unique way to be helpful. Everybody in the chat here has a unique way of being helpful. What if we just like went out and were helpful to people? Hey, what if we did that on a LinkedIn live show and we did it at the grocery store as well?
What a concept. I mean, just go be helpful. What are you thinking, Tracy? We can't just go be helpful.
That's not marketing.
The world will go to heaven in a balloon.
Yeah.
Instead of hell in a handbasket, we're going to get it.
Oh, well, then it just made me think of like the Wizard of Oz. And then I'm like, but if we were in a balloon, would we get distracted by going to Oz? I don't know. Anyway, again,
we go
side
conversation to get to the moon. That's just one more way to get to the moon is we go in a balloon.
There you go. We just need some oxygen. It'll be fine. But yeah, like Kat is making a good point. I got so bogged down in what everyone said was the best thing to do. And this is the problem, is the best thing for you to do is not the best thing for me to do. So if I'm out there being like, the best thing to do is exactly what I do, which is just a sales tactic, to be honest with you. If anybody's saying that, they're trying to sell you something, and like, you could probably just move right along.
But I was in college, I went to the gym, and the guy that was taking me around the gym said, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this, and this. And he went through this whole program that he was going to put me through. And I said, I don't want to do any arm weights because I swam. You know, I lettered in volleyball, lettered in track, I lettered in basketball, and I swam in the summer times. So anytime you put weights on my arms, I was going to bulk up. And this was back before it was cool this is in the 80s. Girls weren't supposed to be bulky. And I was a curvy, bulky girl. And I did not want to be more bulky. And he said, well, let's try it for a week. And after a week, I had already increased my arms an inch. And he went, maybe that's not good for you. I was like, dude, it's not like I don't know. It's not like I haven't been in this body a couple of days. I kind of, and that's really ultimately what comes down to all of these different things that people are telling us to do. It's easy to get bogged down in what they're telling us to do if we don't know ourselves. And if you know that you are not a 10 o'clock in the morning kind of person to get things done, I could not do 10 o'clock in the morning if you paid me gold to do it. Because I have to get my husband to work at 10. We have one car. Get my husband to work at 10, come back, then take my son to college. I couldn't do it at 10. And I want to be authentic and I want to be myself, but I have to do it around who I am and where I am and the season that I'm in. And that season's going to change. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you have to shift the activities that you do and the choices that you make based on your season and who you are.
You heard it here again, folks, based on you. And not by what the algorithm likes and not by what XYZ quote unquote marketing guru told you that you're supposed to do. There's so much stress that's associated. So like, imagine someone in Kathryn's scenario who's being told that they have to post these at 10 o'clock, otherwise they're not going to get any engagement. And then you're over here being like, but I can't do that, right? Like my life doesn't allow for that to happen. So now you're all stressed out about the things in your life that you actually want to do. You want to go to work with your husband and you want to drive your son to college, right? Like these might be things that you want to do, but now you're all stressed out about doing them because some crap
some expert, we're going to be nice, some expert said this. And here's the thing, it worked for them. That's the whole reason they say it. It worked for them.
And and that's, I think, an important point too, because there's because what I always say about that is it's not like people are lying, right? Like they did a thing and it worked for them. I think they're honest about that. Where it breaks down is in this, it worked for me, so it will work for you.
Right.
And that's not true.
I sold Cutco knives in college, and I had a 100% closing rate. Nobody else had that closing rate. And the reason I had that closing rate is I loved those knives. I bought my own set. I still have my Cutco knives that I sold in college because I loved them so much. I showed people the joy of them. And I also, this is the second part of the equation in marketing, I knew who to sell to. If you didn't cook, I didn't go try to sell a college student Cutco knives. I went to I asked people to give me referrals to people who had discretionary income and loved to cook. Because Cutco knives are not cheap. And if you don't like to cook, why do you want a set of Cutco knives?
Yeah, if you don't like to cook, you don't care about what the quality of the knife you're using, probably. But this is that's a good example too, because when we're talking about marketing, at some point an ideal client profile or things like that are going to come up. And again, we get so into the strategy of things that we just forget the simple things about hey, who could use knives? Our students who are living in dormitories need a fancy set of knives? Oh, no? Okay, great. Actually, so recently I was at we did this brand hack at the University of Calgary. And so all these teams came to participate, and we had an actual industry problem, and they got 2 days to just dive into the problem and come up with their solutions. And there were so many of the groups that were we're going to target students. We're going to target students. We're going to target students. And then there was a group that didn't target students. So one of the questions I was asked was why wouldn't you target students? You guys are students, you know the student body, why wouldn't you target students? And it was a transportation type of solution. And they were well, the students, as part of their tuition, get a bus pass for free. So why would they pay for a transportation service? They're not going to pay for it. They're not going to pay for it while they're students. And I was this is news to me. We just heard 5 other groups be students, right? And you're wow, someone actually did their research. But these things, that happens very commonly. Also because we're not leaning into the things that we know. Someone in that group is probably a student that depends on their bus pass right now. So they know that the bus pass gets included. They get to use that knowledge for their experiment because they have that personal knowledge. If you weren't tapping into your uniqueness and what you know and giving that value, then you would completely miss those opportunities, which are huge for people who are not knowledgeable in the space that you're knowledgeable.
And how you do it. It's not just what you know, it's how you present what you know. Because as a storyteller, as an encourager, as someone who enjoys the journey, a good pun and a little bit of snarky flavor, I'm going to tell a story in whatever I'm doing. And when I would go do those Cutco demonstrations, I had a script to follow, but I guarantee you I put my flourish on that script that we were supposed to follow. And I would entertain the people who were purchasing my product so much so that they wanted their friends to experience my demonstration, even if their friends weren't going to buy the knives, because it was so much fun. I had people that would invite me to dinner so that I could continue entertaining them in my Cutco demonstration. That's unique to me. Not everybody can do that. And that's why you don't want to copy someone else. You want to infuse what you're doing with your uniqueness.
Mm-hmm. And this is, I have a lot of opinions about scripts because most of them are not written by you. And if they're not written by you, then is that what you would say? I have a friend of mine who works in an industry that is heavily scripted. And I remember asking her, what percentage of this script would you actually say if you weren't contracted to read it. She was like, none of it. Who is this helping, right? Like, is this helping the company by like locking it down this much that every single person who now delivers it sounds like a robot? I mean, I feel like that's not the like fastest sales closing path, but maybe it's just me. I remember being part of a group conversation. Now, this was in a sales scenario, but like a group of salespeople working together to create one single script that was like a weird mashup of all of the things they would individually say into this one thing that none of them would actually say.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is the purpose of that activity? Right? Like, I use the example of the Three Little Pigs a lot, right? So most people, at least in North America, are very familiar with the fairy tale, the Three Little Pigs, right? There's one with straw and one with sticks and one with bricks, and there's big bad wolf, right? And there's blowing and huffing and puffing, and there's one house that wins at the end, right? Like, there's a million different iterations of that story that you could tell in which people would still know that it's the Three Little Pigs. There are like critical components of it. There are three. Yep, there's a big bad wolf. You got different kinds of houses, right? Like, there's some like key pieces of the skeleton there, but you don't have to use the exact same words to tell the story in order for people to know that it's the story. And when it comes to sales and marketing, we get so caught up in this, like, this is the one perfect way that I could say this, AKA I help statements, which as far as I'm concerned, don't help anybody. It's not the straw one. You're right, Kat. The I help statements are the straw one. Let's put them in there. It doesn't help you. It doesn't allow you to have any confidence in yourself that you could explain this to a different person in a different room on a different day with different words equally effectively.
Yep.
Because you know it that well, right? And if you don't know it that well, then why are you talking about it?
I can still do the Cutco pitch. When people start talking about knives, I will default to explaining about, the rivets and that the core of the knife was actually made out of a resin that they used to make bowling balls out of. That's why it's so tough. And I
didn't know that. You all learned something new here today.
So, yeah, and the double D edge was what they used for eye surgery before they started using lasers. It was
just so you know, this episode is not sponsored by Cutco. Just have a fan.
But if Cutco wants to get in touch with me, it will not hurt my feelings at all. But the point is that I knew it. I was passionate about it, and that's where we have to get in our journey. But you can't get passionate about what you're doing without knowing who you are.
Right. Because it's not your passion. Right?
Exactly. You're regurgitating that script, and it is not authentic. And people today, more than ever, people want to feel that authenticity. And if they feel that authenticity, even if you're a little off, they would rather you be a little off and authentic than to be 100% on and regurgitating a script.
Okay, so let's talk about like because I agree. And I think from a like individual usage point of view, very easy to understand. It's less difficult to do because there is a whole like journey that we go on to get to that point. But let's talk a little bit about marketing and like how people have separated marketing and the like presentation of that from like who they are as a person. And like, I'll be honest with you. This is full transparency from Tracy today. I didn't want to blow dry my hair. And so I was like, I'm gonna put my hair up in a bun because honestly, most people who work with me see me like this most often because like that is how I get stuff done. A lot of times I will like blow dry my hair and curl it for the show because that's like I'm live and I put on makeup, things like that. But today I was like, first of all, we're doing an episode on authenticity. So I should bring my most authentic self to that. And there is that like permission for that to evolve, again, based on what do I want to do today? I don't want to do that today. Maybe I want to do it another day. I got super dressed up for the Oscars, for an Oscars party I went to, and I was like super jazzed about it, right? Like, that's fun. Today, no. And so choosing that and then doing something that is public, where there has been a lot of, I would say specifically for women, a lot of scrutiny on like how you look and how you present yourself in the public arena. Like, where have you seen like maybe a personal confidence get shaken up when we get into this like presentation arena?
I will say my confidence was shaken the most when I was launching into my speaking career. I was speaking at different events, and I went to a writers conference specifically to hear a speaker talking about building your speaking career. And I'm standing in line waiting for her, and this was after I'd had my second son. So I was not in peak optimal health condition. I was not still lettering in basketball. Just put it that way. And I definitely wasn't swimming every day. So I'm standing in line, and she's talking to this lady in front of me. And this is one of those ladies, every hair's in the right place. She's got on the most, that perfect outfit, and her nails are perfect, and you can tell they're not fake. And she's all I assume she was all real. I don't know.
I didn't never know these days.
Funny.
She was AI.
Yeah. And she was telling the speaker was telling this woman, she's like, "You're the kind of person that people want to hear from." And she looked, I swear she did. She went, "Unlike some people." And my husband said she did not. I was like, I swear that's what happened. But I heard, "You will never be the kind of person that people want to hear from." And from that day on, I hesitated to step in front of a camera. I mean, I never liked cameras anyway, but that just added to it. And I was worried about people judging me for how I looked. And still, even up until 2 years ago, and someone challenged me to do lives, because you got to do a live every day. But the short live. And so I was doing them while I was going out to meditate. Sometimes my hair was up. Sometimes, most of the time, my hair was up. Sometimes I was in a tank, just whatever. I didn't watch them because I didn't want to judge myself the way that woman judged me. And I think that that's where we have to get with our authenticity. We have to just be willing to be it without judging it.
And we're taught.
Yeah, marketing wants us to judge it. Yeah, marketing wants us to judge it. And the world doesn't want the judged, cleaned up, perfected. That's why people like lives more than the recorded, because they want the authenticity that comes from the mess ups. But who doesn't like the blooper reel better than the show?
Everybody.
I mean, seriously.
Well, and I think, and again, like, especially when I extrapolate this to like larger brands and like professional marketing teams, now you've got like video editors and all of these things. The thing that's interesting about it is it's very easy to get distracted from your intention. So if your intention is to create an authentic connection to somebody through the content that you're creating, then it doesn't make sense for that to be overly produced. It doesn't, right? You can, right? And maybe you even have the budget to overly produce it. But that's not the point. It's not driving the overall intention, the overall brand experience that you're going for. And if you are like, a friend right now who's doing a whole series on like luxury brands and how the digital experiences match or don't match what a luxury brand is actually doing. But what I'm doing is different than what a luxury brand is doing. And if we don't show up in our authenticity, being the thing that we created, being the thing that we believe in serving the world through, then again, what are we? There's so much marketing that's happening that's not aligning to those core values, core behaviors of a company. And to what end? To suck in a bunch of people who will never be your customers, and then marketing hands them off to sales, and then sales hates marketing because marketing gives them bad leads. And like none of this is adding up. The math is not mathing.
Yeah. But it's not marketing. It's noise. If you are not engaging with the connections you need to be engaging with, and engagement is essential to marketing, if you're not engaging with them and then being helpful for them, then you're missing the mark of what marketing is. I mean, marketing is so much more than getting a lead. Marketing is about building a relationship, because it is cheaper to keep a customer than it is to gain a new one. And that relationship starts with your authentic self, your unique self. Whether you're talking about the company, and who is the company? Wendy's is snarky. McDonald's is not. And when McDonald's tries to be snarky, it looks mean.
It's also like, I've seen a lot of brands do this, where like someone had like a viral whatever, and then they're like, oh, we just need to do that too. And then they do it, and you're like, this is weird. Like, this is not you, right? You didn't choose this. You're copying someone else.
Yeah. Well, like for instance, the Eat More Chicken, Chick-fil-A. Yeah. They've got a commercial right now, a spelling bee. And the three judges are like, not sure what the word is, and the girl sees that one of the judges is the cow, and she's like, and she spells it correctly, and her dad's like, that's how we practiced it. Every company couldn't do that. And now that I think about it, Wendy's has always been a little on the snarky side because of the where's the beef. Yep. So they've always been a little bit. Engagement is essential. There you go.
Coach Carey says, say it again.
And as for Kat, I will let you know, Kat, that I wouldn't have tried to sell you knives. If you don't cook, there's no purpose. There's no purpose in you having an $800 knife set.
Kat shared with me earlier that she had moved into full apartments and lived there for X amount of time and never used the oven. And I was like, wow, that's kind of impressive, actually. Like, I feel like I would, like, you'd have to try not to use the oven, I think. But anyway.
The only time I've ever not used my oven was when my oven was broken. And then I used crock pots. So I figured out a way to cook anyway. I love to cook. That's why I love my knife. But
there you go.
And Kat knows her. And when we know us, when we know who we are, it makes a difference in what we're doing. I can infuse enjoyment in everything I do. Don't take me to a funeral if we're supposed to be depressed. What you want at that event.
Yeah, I believe in celebrations of life, and I'm going to make it a celebration. I just want to share this before we run out of time here. A comment that Gary had shared earlier about how life changed dramatically once I found out who I am, and I love me. And this is not, I think a lot of times too, we get convinced that that is being self-centered, that is being conceited, and all those things are bad. And so we don't want to be bad. We want to be good. But there's like so much of that, again, which is just distraction, right? If I love myself, if I'm proud of who I am and the journey that I've been on and the help that I can provide people, no, I can't help all people. I can't help people fly a plane, right? Like I can't fly a plane. If the help you need is fly a plane, I can't do that. I can't, but I have
Don't call me. Don't call me.
Please don't call me. There will be a big disaster. But like, I know somebody who you could call, and that's Why Would Network. But there's also that, like, I don't think most people are going around being like, I should be a brain surgeon. No, you shouldn't, right? Like, there's a small amount of people in this world who do really good brain surgery, and like, go beat it, right? But as soon as it gets into marketing, we get all of this, like, I should be able to be as snarky as Wendy's. Like, you shouldn't. It's not how you would do it. And you can serve burgers over there, and they can serve burgers over there, and 1,800 other burger places can serve burgers, and there's a place for them in the market. And when we like get into this like chasing mode, as soon as we're in chasing, we have traded our uniqueness for something that we have decided is better. And I think even in that moment, anytime when we feel like we have that like chasing energy, it's our opportunity to step back and say, whew, what am I chasing? And is that mine?
Yeah. If you're making your decision from a place of lack, it will always be the wrong decision.
Right.
And if you are making a decision from your uniqueness, even if you're in a tight situation, you will be bolder in that choice.
Agree. And this, again, like, I think it's a little more easily understandable for people who are solopreneurs and it's just you, you're a service business, right? And you're like, at the end of the day, what you're selling is you. I think I think people get that. And I think what people miss is that this is equally true for all of marketing. If you are a tech company, equally true. If you are a participant in the circular economy, equally true. If you are big business, now these guys have big budgets and they throw away lots of money on a whole bunch of stuff that is meaningless. And if you have millions of dollars, then I mean, I still think there's better things you could do.
Mint Mobile is an excellent example of someone who does targeted marketing. I mean, they don't shift. I mean, $15. He's focused. I mean, he did an entire commercial on $15. It's $15. And he said, okay, somebody's going to have to quit letting AI write our scripts because every other word was $15. But they know who they are. And when you know who you are, you can enjoy, and you can play with the different elements of marketing who you are and sharing who you are and engaging your customers as who you are. But you have to know who you are in order to do all the other things.
And Gary has a great closing comment here about don't always paint inside the lines as there's so much space to be you outside the lines. And in that, because this is something I think a lot about, honestly, because like the concept of boundaries comes up. And when people feel like they are being limited and constrained, it's because those lines, that edge of the box, wasn't drawn by you. So when we think about the concept of painting outside the lines, this isn't about painting outside of your lines. It's not about doing things you wouldn't do. It's about doing the things you would do. And some of those things, dare I say most of those things, are going to be outside someone else's lines. And if we're constantly holding ourselves to keeping other people comfortable, I don't even like saying it. Then we're going to spend our entire lives painting within someone else's lines. And if you can imagine this, right? Like you got like a paint by numbers and it's your paint by numbers, right? And it's got like mine's got rainbows and planets and mountains and tea and the Hobbit and my son and like a whole bunch of things, right? I just went like way out there. What can I include in this crazy list? But if I was just going to paint a picture of someone else's that was just the heart, like there's so much possibility of mine that doesn't get touched. And like so much of our gifts as individuals and as companies is in painting our full picture.
Yep.
And so my last call to action for everyone today would be like, figure out what's your picture. And if you run up against someone else's lines, then your picture is probably on the other side of that.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. And I will add that you are unique in all the world, and the world needs your uniqueness. That's why it was gifted to you, so that you could go out and make the world a better place.
Amen. And there is no part of me that doesn't believe that if, and all of us are going through this system of getting programmed into these like little boxes, but the world doesn't need a bunch more little boxes. The world needs what you were created to be. And so if you can surround yourself by people who give you that permission, like Kathryn said earlier, to get back to that, the people where you can feel free to be yourself, to have fun, to play, to express. This is like gold. And whether or not, like, I would love to say that everyone can get that in business. I think it can manifest once you have that belief that that's available. Go make that available first. Maybe it's in a social group, right? Like, I saw Russ Hedge in here, right? Like, I think I met Kathryn because she was in the comments on Russ's show, and like all of this, and then this happened, and now there's new people in the comments. Like, this is how it happens. Like, if you can put together a community of people who see you and you feel seen and appreciated for like the weirdo that you are, win number one. And then we can take that and we can convert it into some like really meaningful marketing. So go be weird together, folks.
Yep. Yeah. And here's the great thing. When you find weird people, you feel less weird.
I mean, my favorite thing is when like I meet people who have tried so hard to like play in this box, right? And it happens a lot in like corporate scenarios, right? Like, this is what it looks like to be a responsible corporate workaholic.
Yeah.
And then you like reveal.
They're in their suit and tie, and their vest and the whole kit and caboodle, and you come in your overalls and your cowboy hat and or sparklies or whatever, and they're just like.
But then they get this like moment where they feel like it's possible for them to reveal their weird. And that's why I love to throw out so many things, right? Like, okay, maybe you're in your 3-piece suit, but you also secretly love The Hobbit, right? Like, now we have something to like unlock there. Like there's so all of that is a societal facade that we have been programmed into. And I'm not saying you're not valuable as a human within that facade, because you totally are. And there's so much more possible.
Yeah, I love the idea of outside the lines. That is just because oftentimes we're in a box that somebody didn't put us in. We actually built it around ourselves. Yeah. And we built it around ourselves one little bit at a time, because this is what they have told us we have to do in order to be successful in what we're uniquely designed to do. And how can they know? They can't. If they tell you they know your way, they're lying to you, because your way is unique to you, because you are unique in all the world.
And if you don't feel like you've quite found your ownership of that yet, then I would highly recommend that you connect with me or Kathryn. And Kathryn, because we can actually keep talking forever. We're not going to. We're going to wrap it up. Where is the best place for people to connect with you if they would like to continue the conversation and exploration into their uniqueness?
The easiest way to get in touch with me is just go to my website, KathrynLang.com. But I am on all the social media, different places as Kathryn C. Lang. And because somebody already had Kathryn Lang. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. Kathryn C. Lang, Kathryn Lang, I'm here for you. And I'll make you this guarantee. One conversation, and we will unlock one uniqueness that you didn't even realize you had.
Oh, I can actually say, folks, that I can endorse that, because my conversation with Kathryn, and even for an authenticity practitioner as myself, unlocked new possibilities for me. One of them including the show, and then I feel like there's going to be many more that come from this. But Kathryn, I always love our conversations. Like, I feel so energized, feel so excited to like be me, so excited to support other people and like being them and helping us explore what that can do, how that can make marketing different for all of us, right? Like, let's get rid of this peer pressure.
Your whole journey will be different. When you are you will enjoy the journey more. And not only will you enjoy the journey more, but the people you encounter will enjoy the journey more. And then it all begins to snowball. And then success becomes a reality, not because you're following somebody else's ABC, but because you are all you.
Okay, I'm literally cutting us off now, because we're going to keep talking about it forever, and it's awesome, but it's time is up for today. Thank you guys for joining us in the conversation. We had so many great people in the chat: Russ, Lisa, Ileana, Leslie, Meryl, Gary, Kat, Coach Carrie, Leanna. You guys are awesome. And our Indian friends from YouTube, I do appreciate that you were streaming us at 1 o'clock in the morning. And again, maybe get some sleep. Hope you get some sleep because we energized you now. So hopefully you can go to sleep. But last thing I'm going to say here is that if your uniqueness, whether that's in marketing or uniqueness in general, is something that is a priority for you right now, please do not let this be the last conversation that you participate in. Let it be the first of many that allows you to explore your beautiful journey towards your uniqueness. With that, thank you, Kathryn. Thank you all for their time. And until next time, permission to do you.